Hi everybody, today I'm going to be talking about how I find Mr Repsion annoying. Now, I haven't really got involved in any of this discussion about Anita Sarkeesian and video games, because I don't really play video games, don't really know anything about them. I have a Mega Drive, I've dug out my old Mega Drive. I'm thinking of maybe having to go Sonic the Hedgehog again for old time's sake, if I get a chance, but you know, generally I don't really know anything about video games. I spend pretty much none of my time ever playing them. They don't particularly interest me, so I just haven't really contributed to that discussion. But nonetheless, some of these things Mr Repsion has been saying have been annoying me.
I think there are more other subtle forms of sexism in the real world that probably have a bigger impact than possibly video games.
To me, there are more things to be focusing on that are more important within feminism, and I don't associate as a feminist, by the way.
Well, yeah, there's no better person, of course, to tell feminists what they should be doing than someone who isn't a feminist.
There are bigger issues that you could be focusing on right now that could actually help, I believe, women with social issues and bringing equality with women. That she raised $160,000, and that's an insane amount of money that I think should be used personally towards things that really do matter. And I don't see how video games, and I will admit this, a very male-dominated area, I don't see how focusing on that is really changing and helping feminism in a positive way. It's always focusing on the bigger issues than the smaller, but that's me. That's me. I like to focus on things that I feel are really relevant within our world right now, happening right now, and that are affecting thousands of people.
Now, it wasn't long ago, you actually said in one of your videos that people who are subscribed to you had been messaging you, asking you to do a video about Marta Deborah de Delve. And for anyone who doesn't remember, she was the woman who got raped in Dubai. She was Norwegian. She was on a business trip to Dubai. She was raped, and because of Sharia law, she was actually found guilty of adultery for getting raped. She was actually blamed for getting raped. But thankfully there was an appeal, and there was a lot of pressure put on the government of Dubai, and she was released. But you were asked to do a video about it, and this is what you had to say.
People sent me that story like 30 times. Like, I got on my Tumblr, my Twitter, people were saying, you should talk about this, you should talk about this. And I was like, I don't want to talk about this, because it's depressing.
So I don't personally mind if people do videos on trivial topics or things that seem trivial in the grand scheme of things, but I do have a problem with people getting up on their high horse about other people supposedly covering trivial topics while they're no better themselves. They cover serious topics when they feel like covering serious topics. Other times they feel like doing things that are a bit more light-hearted. Nothing wrong with that, but let's not get on our high horse about it.
I don't feel as if video games, or I should say tropes versus video games, the so-called objectification of women and men, by the way, not just women, which is something that huge critique that I have of Anita Sarkeesian is she seems to be very, very one-sided with sexism only with women, but not with men in video games.
What would be, if you were constructive criticism, if that's possible?
It is.
One thing that you would tell her, what would that be?
Please focus on men's issues, and if you can't focus on men issues, then I would say that you yourself are sexist, because there are men issues that needs to be focused on within the same realm of sexism against women. There is sexism against men, and that also needs to be addressed.
Yeah, the series is called Tropes versus Women. What are you expecting? The title kind of gives it away. It's not like it has a misleading title. It's focusing on a certain subject. That's what people do when they make video series. They focus on certain subjects. It doesn't mean they're ignorant to every other subject out there. It just means they've chosen to focus on that. If someone makes a documentary about Scotland, it doesn't mean they're ignorant of the existence of every other country. It just means they're focusing on that particular country at the time. That's all it is. It would be quite silly if we contacted the producers and said, please could you focus on Ireland instead? It would be ridiculous.
How we're portrayed in Abercrombie and Fitch is not realistic. I don't like seeing a photo of some ripped guy who I will never meet the standard of.
Well, like I said, I'm no expert on video games, but I'm pretty sure Abercrombie and Fitch isn't a video game. I don't know why you're bringing that up. You know, when you're talking about someone who is critiquing video games, why they haven't suddenly focused on Abercrombie and Fitch. It's a very strange thing to bring up, kind of an irrelevant thing. It's an interesting issue, but it's a different one.
She's definitely got to like research the video games a little bit more before she.
You know, I'm not
going to
be one of these people that say you have to play thoroughly all through the games, but at least understand the games that you're talking about, because as many people have pointed out in my videos and in other videos, she's gotten names of the titles of the games that she's using the clips from wrong. Like the footage that she has shown have been wrong with the wrong game. That was like some game, you know, the second game in the franchise or whatever, and she said it was the first game when it was actually the second game. It's little things like that that make all the difference in your credibility when you do research.
Well, again, here's some hypocrisy. While you're criticising people for not doing their research, you might want to look at some of their own videos. You know, a lot of your information is very sloppy. A while ago I pointed this out to you in your comment section. I don't know if you read it, but you'd described the head of the head office of the Mormon Church as being the Watchtower, which it isn't. That, of course, is Jehovah's Witnesses. That's their, if you like, their head office. You seem to be muddling the two things up. You were trying to do a criticism of Mormonism, you ended up muddling it up with Jehovah's Witnesses. I mentioned that in the comment section of your video. I don't know if anyone else bothered mentioning it. But yeah, that's just one example I can think of where you're not really doing your homework on these issues. So again, pot calling the kettle black a bit here. So this is why I find Mr Repsion kind of annoying. He just seems to consider himself to be the centre of the universe. It's like, if something isn't interesting me, the person making that video series should stop doing it and start making a series about things that do interest me. Or they should change it. Never, you know, it never occurs to him to maybe make these videos. You know, if he's so bothered about sexism against men in video games, why doesn't he get cracking and make the series? You know, why doesn't he talk about the ways he doesn't like men being depicted in video games? It just seems silly to expect someone else to do it. And you know, and let's bear in mind, I mean, he has a donate button on his channel. He does get, his channel is donated to by his subscribers, and obviously I'm not really a fan of that kind of thing. So it's a bit odd to criticise someone like Anita Sarkeesian for taking a huge amount of donations. You know, while simultaneously he's taking a large amount of donations and is just making videos or whatever he wants. But he seems to be criticising Anita Sarkeesian for making a lot of money, but you know, taking a lot of money off her subscribers, but then according to him, not focusing on serious enough issues. I don't see how it's any different. He makes money and makes videos about what he wants. She makes money and makes videos about what she wants. It seems very odd. Basically that's why Mr Repsion annoys me. I did a video about him a while ago, didn't I? About him making some rather silly comments about suicide, which we're all familiar with. But I can't be bothered doing a whole load of videos about him, but this particular issue just pissed me off enough that I wanted to make a few comments about it. So let me know what you think, everyone. Goodbye.